Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth part of the video on the topic microorganisms. So before we go into the topic, I wanted to inform you that by the end of this video there is a link which is directing you to a set of questions that you need to answer. Only if you answer, your attendance will be marked and it will be considered for your promotion. Okay, let us go into the topic. So let us see what we learned in the previous video. So we learned that how microorganisms are useful in different industries. That included how tanning industry is working based on the use of microorganism, how sewage treatment is done with the help of microorganism, how beverages are produced, that is alcohol, wine, beer, etc. So we saw how different industries are using different microorganisms to function. So then later on we saw how microorganisms are useful in our day-to-day life. It could be in either making a bread or cake. Then we saw how microorganism, that is lactobacillus, is helpful in making curd from milk. Then lastly we saw how microorganisms which live inside our body are useful for us. Okay, so let us see what we'll be learning in today's particular video. So we'll be learning today uses of microorganism in food processes. So we'll see how microorganism can contribute in food processing. This food processing involves food preservation and food production. Then later we'll learn about few harmful microorganisms which are causing diseases to plants, animals or humans. So now let us go into the first topic, uses of microorganism food process, which includes two steps, that is food preservation and food production. So the food processing involves two major steps, that is food preservation and food production. So the first one, okay, before that let us see how microbes are helpful in food process. As I said earlier, food processing involves two major steps, that is food preservation and food production. Under the food preservation, it can be done in two ways, that is traditional technique and modern technique. In traditional technique, you have the older or the techniques that can be adopted in home, that is fermentation, pickling, boiling, sugaring. In the modern technique, that is you need a sophisticated machineries or anything to preserve your food item. They are modern techniques, and one such technique is pasteurization. The next one is food production. In food production, we'll be seeing the role of microbes as probiotics. So let us see one by one. So the food preservation, in that let us see few traditional techniques. So the traditional techniques are easier and which can be adopted in home. So fermentation. Fermentation is the microbial conversion of sugar or starch into alcohol, and it also makes the food highly nutritious. So in the previous video we saw how microorganisms are useful in making alcohol. So that is these microorganisms break down the sugar particles or starch into alcohol, and that is how alcohol was produced. So this is what we learned in the previous video. So fermentation is a major step in preserving various food items, one such as alcohol. So this alcohol is produced with the help of microorganisms. The next one is pickling. So what is pickling? So all of you eat pickles at your home. It could be either a homemade pickle or that you buy from the market. So the homemade pickle that we have it in our home, it can last up to 15 days or a month. But the pickles that you buy from the store, you can keep it for years. Yes, so that is how microorganisms are helping you in preserving your food items for a longer period. So preserving your food in an edible antimicrobial liquid is pickling. So you are preserving your food in a antimicrobial liquid. Antimicrobial means the liquid which does not allow the growth of any microorganisms. So this can be done in two ways. The first one is chemical pickling. So in this chemical pickling, what it is done is the food is placed in an edible liquid that has the capability to kill the microorganisms. Example is oil, vinegar, alcohol, etc. So in the picture as I have shown here, you can see these are certain fruits which are preserved in the olive oil. So the oil has the tendency, or it acts as a antimicrobial liquid to preserve the olive fruit, and this process is called as chemical pickling. In fermentation pickling, the bacteria which is present in the liquid produces organic acids that acts as a preservation agent. So what is done in this fermentation pickling is, there are certain useful bacteria which is growing in your liquid. That bacteria produces some acid which has the tendency to kill the other microorganism. Such pickling is called as fermentation pickling. So this is a picture. The cucumber is placed in a in oil or in certain liquids into which lactobacillus is added, which has the capacity to produce lactic acid, and this acid helps or acts as a preservation agent. So this is a cucumber pickle and this is a olive pickle. So other few traditional techniques that we'll be seeing are boiling. Yes, boiling the liquid food items helps the microorganism to be killed. So you can kill the microorganisms by boiling the liquid food item. So you would have seen in your home, usually some people boil the water and then drink it. So when you are boiling the water, it is probably thought that most of the microorganisms are killed at that high temperature. The last traditional technique is sugaring. So in sugaring, what is done is, sugar is acting as a antimicrobial agent. So the sugar syrup, the sugar syrup is acting as an antimicrobial agent, and that the fruits are preserved. For example, all of us eat jam. So jam is nothing but a preservative food that you can eat anytime whenever you want. So how it is preserved is, the fruits are smashed and nicely soaked in this antimicrobial sugar syrup so that it does not spoil, and it is preserved for a longer time, and it can be used in any conditions. So this is how jams are used. Now let us see food preservation by modern technique. One such technique is pasteurization. So you can see here a picture of a sophisticated machinery, how a certain food items are preserved. This pasteurization method is used in preserving most of the liquid food items. One such liquid food item that I would like to mention here is milk. Yes, here the milk items are preserved by the method called as pasteurization. So what exactly happens in this technique is, the milk is initially heated up to 70 degrees Celsius in one of the container. So as you can see the picture. The first one is a storage tank where the milk is stored. Next, it is connected to a heating tank where the milk is heated up to 70 degrees Celsius. Why it is heated up to 70 degrees Celsius is because most of the microorganism can be killed at that particular temperature. Again, after that, the milk is passed to another chamber called as cooling chamber. Here, the temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. In the cooling chamber, the temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. The milk is sent into the cooling chamber so that it can avoid the growth of further microorganism. So in cooling chamber, the purpose of cooling chamber is to avoid the growth of remaining microorganisms. After it is cooled for some time, finally the milk is stored in another storage tank which is highly sterilized. Sterilized means it is completely free from microorganism. Then it is packed and stored in cold places and then it is sent to the stores. So this is how milk is processed and packed, and this technique is called as pasteurization. This pasteurization technique was invented by a scientist called as Louis Pasteur in 1862. So this is a picture of Louis Pasteur who invented pasteurization. Okay, the next one is food production. In that, probiotics. What are probiotics? So probiotics are the live food supplements used in food items. So these are live food supplements or live microorganisms which are used in food supplements or any food items. For example, Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium bifidum are a common useful bacteria which is generally found in your gut or in your intestine. These probiotics or these microorganisms which are live helps to improve your body conditions in several ways. Few such are, so these microorganisms help in decreasing the cholesterol absorption. So it helps in decreasing the cholesterol absorption from the food. Then it decreases the risk of colon cancer. Colon cancer is nothing but intestine cancer. So these microorganism which is present in your intestine helps in breaking down the food completely and helps in reducing the risk of colon cancer and also prevent from diarrheal diseases by increasing immunity. So it also prevents the human body from loose motions and increases the person's immunity. So these probiotics are the live food supplements which are added into the food items. So this is how microorganisms are useful in the field of food processing. Now let us see about harmful microorganisms. So I said earlier in the previous videos that not all microorganisms are harmful or useful. Anyway, we can see there are certain microorganisms which are useful to the living and there are certain microorganisms which are very harmful to the plants, animals or humans, and when they cause diseases to the plants, animals or humans, such microorganisms are called as pathogens. Hence, the microorganisms that are harmful, causes diseases in plants, animals and humans are called as pathogens. So these pathogens are present everywhere in the nature. So it could enter our body through our skin, that is any cut or wound on your skin, it can enter in that way, or it can enter through your nose or mouth. For example, a person who is suffering from a common cold, if that person sneezes, the water droplets that is coming out of his mouth has these microorganisms, and when it comes in contact with you, the virus enters your body and causes the same common cold. So this is how the microorganisms are getting transmitted from one person to other person. So the same is valid for even corona. So there are few diseases which are mentioned in further slides in the table, which are causing diseases in plants, animals and human beings. Okay, so let us see a set of diseases which are caused in plants by certain microorganisms. Okay, the first one is citrus canker. Citrus canker is a disease caused in citrus fruits. Citrus fruits include lemon, orange, etc. So what organism is causing that? It is Xanthomonas axonopodis. So Xanthomonas axonopodis is a bacteria which is causing citrus canker. And these bacteria are transmitted through air or water. So what are the symptoms of citrus canker are? So you can see lessons on leaves, stem and fruit. So here is a picture of a plant which is affected by citrus canker. So you can see in the leaves, on the fruit, there is lessons. Lessons are nothing but kind of infections which is spread all over the plant, on the leaves, on the fruit, on the stem, everywhere. So this plant is completely affected by citrus canker. So how you can avoid your plant from citrus canker is you can use bactericides. Bactericides are the chemicals which has the capability to kill the bacteria. The next disease is potato blight disease. So potato blight disease is a disease caused by fungi, Phytophthora infestans. So these fungi are capable enough to spoil the entire potato. So you can see the picture here. So complete brown lessons are formed on the surface of your potato and even in the inside. So these fungi are transmitted through air, and the only way to avoid this fungi affecting your potatoes are spraying fungicides. Fungicides are again the chemicals that have the capability to kill the fungi. Now let us see diseases caused in animals by some microorganisms. So the first one is anthrax. Anthrax is a disease which is caused in animals as well as in humans. It is caused by Bacillus anthracis. It is a bacteria which can be transmitted through contaminated food and soil. So when an animal is exposed to a contaminated soil or food, the animal is attacked by a bacteria called as Bacillus anthracis to cause anthrax. So what are the symptoms of this anthrax? Difficulty in breathing and loss of appetite. So the person or the animal which is affected by anthrax feels difficulty in breathing and loss of appetite, that is loss of hunger. So the vaccine for this particular disease used is anthrax vaccine. The next one is foot and mouth disease, which is caused by aptovirus. It is a virus. It is transmitted through air or any other animal vectors, or that is flies, mosquitoes, anything. So what are the symptoms of this foot and mouth diseases are high fever, blisters in your mouth. So you'll have blisters in your mouth, then loss of weight. So the vaccine used for this foot and mouth disease is MFD vaccine. The last section is based on diseases caused in humans by microorganism. So let us see what are the few diseases. The first one is tuberculosis. So tuberculosis or TB is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is a bacteria which is causing, and how it is transmitted is it is either transmitted through air or sputum of the infected person. So that is the same. So if the infected person either sneezes or coughs, the water droplets which is coming through the mouth of the infected person can cause tuberculosis to the healthy person. So what are the symptoms to identify if a person is suffering from TB? Is continuous cough, loss of weight, breathlessness, that is can't breathe properly, and blood in the mucus. So whenever a person coughs and spits, there will be blood found in the mucus. So the preventive measures are the vaccine which is given for tuberculosis are BCG vaccine. The next one is cholera. So cholera is caused by Vibrio cholera. So in the first video I had shown you a picture, comma shaped bacteria. So Vibrio cholera is a comma shaped bacteria which is causing cholera. It is transmitted through water or food, contaminated water and food. So the major symptoms of cholera are vomiting, watery diarrhea. Watery diarrhea means complete loose motion, and dehydration. So when you are vomiting continuously and you are facing loose motion issues, so your body is completely dehydrated, and then the vaccine that is provided is anti-cholera vaccine, and it is also advised that you have to maintain proper sanitation, that is cleanliness around you can prevent you from cholera. The next one is common cold. It is a very common issue that most of us have come across, which is caused by influenza. Influenza is a virus that is causing common cold, and it is transmitted through air, that is cough, sneeze, anything. These water droplets, when comes into contact with another person, it can cause the disease. So the symptoms of common cold are running nose, sneezing, and sometimes cough. So the preventive measure is isolation of the patient. So if you isolate the patient and keep it so that he does not transmit the common cold to his nearby people. The next one is rabies. So rabies is a viral disease which is caused by Rhabdoviridae. So Rhabdoviridae is a virus which is causing rabies, and how rabies is caused is by animal bite. So this virus lives in the saliva of the animals, and when these animals bite, this saliva enters into your bloodstream through the wound and hence causes this rabies. So the symptoms of rabies are fever, hallucination, paralysis, inability to swallow. So these are some common symptoms: fever, hallucinations, paralysis, and inability to swallow. And the vaccine provided for this is anti-rabies vaccine. The next one is amoebic dysentery. It is a common protozoa which is found in a contaminated water, Entamoeba histolytica. So Entamoeba histolytica is a protozoa which causes amoebic dysentery. So protozoa and amoeba, these are the two terms which you have already learnt about in the previous videos. So amoeba is a protozoa that lives in the water. So this amoebic dysentery is caused through contaminated food, water, and sometimes flies. So what happens in this amoebic dysentery is, as the name suggests, it is showing you severe diarrhea. So it is complete loose motion and blood in your stool. That is you'll find blood traces in your stool. So the preventive measures that has to be taken is complete sanitization. So you have to be very clean and your surrounding must be clean in order to protect yourself from this particular protozoan disease. The next one is malaria. Yes, I hope you remember when I said about the plasmodium, I had mentioned about the disease malaria. Yes, it is the same plasmodium, a protozoa, which is carried by the female Anopheles mosquito. And when this female Anopheles mosquito, which is carrying the plasmodium protozoa, bites you, it infects the plasmodium into your bloodstream. And that is how malaria is infected. So the common symptoms of malaria are nausea, that is you'll have dizziness and weakness, vomiting and high fever. So the medicines which is given for this malaria are anti-malarial drugs, which includes quinine and chloroquine. So these are the microorganisms that we have seen which have the capability to cause diseases as well as help you in many aspects. And we have seen that there are several microorganisms that live inside our body, especially in the gut, that is in your throat and in your intestinal regions. It is present there to break down the food particle and to protect your body from the attack of other microorganisms and helps you in building your immunity. So in one way we can say microorganisms are really harmful. In another way we can say that these microorganisms are very useful in carrying out several processes, could be in any field and even for our survival. Thank you, and do not forget to answer the questions given in the link.